Hi, this is Winfred. Welcome back to episode 3 of How to Create a Micronation. So in the last video, we talked about the shipbuilding industry of Ariane. It's fictional and it's purely aesthetic. All that I can create for that is a ship made out of paper, but it nonetheless constitutes a part of Ariane's culture. In this episode, I'm going to be more philosophical in the discussion of provinces. So there are originally 3 provinces, as I explained in the very first episode: Kamanari, Morona, and Nurun. These are my desk, kitchen cabinet, and bed. I'm gonna be honest. I don't like it. I don't like this structure for my provinces. It's simply not creative enough. There are many micronations that start out by claiming residential areas as physical territory. There's nothing wrong with that. But for me, I'm not convinced enough that this is really that creative unless there's a separate land on which a micronation can be built and can be visited by tourists. Furthermore, claiming a piece of land that isn't one's own is meaningless. Back to my situation. Perhaps this is due to a psychological reason. When I look at my desk where I process all the frustrating hassles of life, I feel numb and don't have that much of what I would call happy memories. The other 2, the kitchen cabinet and the bed, have nothing interesting to put forward, so these don't add any protruding characteristic to my nation. This scrutiny actually questions what a micronation is known for in the first place, which in turn is directly related to the philosophical question of what is the definition of a territory in modern sovereignty. This is an important question because we are living in the era of artificial intelligence, or AI. Other types of technology allow us to make things which were not possible in the previous years. If such technology can create a virtual territory where there are little to no limitation on its purpose, then is physical territory necessary? That is the core question. Phrased another way, is the right to sovereignty strictly tied to a physical land? This is a difficult question to answer. Since there's no physical territory to stand on, the more fundamental question to ask in this case is what unites people to be under one culture. My opinion is that land is not necessarily the only thing that can unite people under one culture. It is, though, the most important element of nation building, and that is true for real sovereign countries. However, culture is multi-dimensional, and therefore, logically speaking, there exists at least 1 or 2 elements that bring people together in the times of adversity. It could be food, cultural attire, music, language, art, literature, way of thinking, etc. Fortunately, the above elements I listed earlier applies to micronations. For example, if a creator of a micronation is an expert in an ethnic cuisine, then the recipes can be a virtual territory or realm. That is, each cooked dish represents a node or a pillar that defines an imaginary boundary. Because knowledge is intangible, and the realm it creates is invisible to the naked eyes, and hence does not hinge on the border of what's considered illegal in relation to land ownership, this is a lot more safe option than having a physical land that could be subjected to land-related laws from the government. Therefore, having arrived at this conclusion, I need to remake the provinces into something more unique. I currently don't have an answer to this question, so this might be covered in the later episode. Thanks for watching.